So Paul writes this letter, but he also indicates here that he is with Silas and Timothy here in the introduction. It says, Paul, Silas, and Timothy to the church of the Thessalonians. Silas had been a leader in the Jerusalem church, and after the Council of Jerusalem, which happens in Acts chapter 15, Silas returned with Paul and Barnabas and another man by the name of Judas, not that Judas, another Judas in the Jerusalem church. They all went back to Antioch. And the Bible says that Silas encouraged the Christians at Antioch. So Silas was a man of strong faith, And when Paul left Antioch on the second missionary journey, he took Silas with him. And their first stop was a place called Derbe. And who did they meet in Derbe? Yes, Timothy, correct. And they pick up Timothy, and Timothy was he Greek or was he Gentile? I mean, was he Jewish or was he Gentile? He was Gentile, wasn't he? Yeah. His mother was a Jew, and his father was a Greek. And so the Jews would not have accepted him as a Jew. He would have been considered a Gentile. So we had Paul, who was a Jew and a Roman citizen. We have Silas, who was also a Jew and a Roman citizen. And we have Timothy, whose mother had been a Jew, but who would have been considered a Gentile because his father was a Gentile. And that's the people who go out on the second missionary journey. What does that tell you about God's wisdom in putting that team together? And what does that tell you about Paul's wisdom in putting that team together? They were going to Gentiles in Roman territory, right? And Paul, even though he was a Jew, he was a Roman citizen. Silas, even though he was a Jew, he was a Roman citizen. Okay, man of the world. And then you had Timothy. And so God's wisdom in putting this team together is that they would have been, until they opened their mouths and began to preach Jesus, they would have been accepted wherever they went. They would have been allowed to enter into and walk into any town in the Roman Empire. And so that's what they did. They traveled about. Now, so that's God's wisdom. What do you think of Paul's wisdom in putting these people together? Paul was very strategic in putting this missionary team together. Okay? It was not, doesn't matter who you are, let's just throw everybody in there. God will make it work. It wasn't that kind of thing. Paul was very strategic in getting these three people together. Now, there were other people who were added along the line, but he was a critical thinker. Paul was a critical thinker. And he knew how to put a plan together. He knew how to identify cultural needs. He knew how to think through who would be accepted, who would be able to meet those needs, who would be able to speak to those people. And so Paul was very wise in this.